Okay, so welcome everyone to the CinemaTech webinar, part of Gemini Africa. We'll learn, it's actually focused today on the CinemaTech. So we will start with Mr. Adly Thoma. I'll give him a brief introduction and of course let him introduce himself as well. But Mr. Thoma is the chairman and CEO of Gemini Africa. He's the creator of the new entrepreneurial track, the CinemaTech, which is what this webinar is all about. And he is a professor of practice at the University of Agora, USA, and worldwide management consultant for 85 countries through Schlumberger International. He's a member of Practitioners High Committee of the Arab Academy of Science and Technology. He's a member of the Aswan International Film Festival Board of Trustees and accredited member of project management examination panels. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Mr. Thoma also sits on boards of multiple businesses, entrepreneurial and social organizations. He's been a guest frequently and a panelist on for events like the IFC. I'm assuming that's International Finance Corporation?
Yes. Not
the International Film Corporation. The African Union and TED Talks, okay, and many more. So Mr. Thoma is going to tell us all about the CinemaTech, which will basically it sounds like a wonderful idea of bridging young, talented entrepreneurs with the film industry. But Mr. Thoma will tell us a lot more about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tania, for introduction, and thank you for hosting us, and thank you, EC, for giving us this the pleasure and this opportunity to share the CinemaTech initiative with you, with the alumni, and of course the students. And we are delighted to be here with you, discussing and trying to present the concept of the CinemaTech. I'll try to give a quick introduction and make sure that everyone understands the concept more or less, and leave the floor to Dr. Tania and to my colleagues. And at the end, we are happy to listen to any questions. So we at Gemini Africa, we believe that our main role and objective is to have impact over the community and over the youth, to make sure that we are supporting them in different aspects. So last year we have initiated and launched an initiative which is called Gemini Uplift initiative with 70 plus partners. On top of them was the AUC and United Nations and many other agencies, entities, corporates, and companies and NGOs, of course. From here, we started to think as a team here at Gemini, how can we support the untapped business from entrepreneurial perspective? Since we are, as Gemini Africa, we are the entrepreneurial arm of Rascom Group. So we thought through our connections, through our network, and backed by our holding company, we can support different aspects, and we decided to tackle the untapped business. So on top of them is the cinema industry. We started off by trying to link and to mingle the entrepreneurial ecosystem and the entrepreneurial industry with the cinema industry by calling or by initiating a program for how to use the technology to develop the industry. So we are focusing on platforms, softwares, creative thinking, having some new techniques that help the production of the cinema. We are not focused on producers or directors or actors or superstars. This is not our focus. This is not our expertise, but our expertise is how to use the technology within the cinema to help the industry I would say, to have some leaps and steps towards the technology usage within the filmmaking and film production. So we thought the best fit that can help using the technology within the industry are the entrepreneurs and the youth and the startups. So we decided to call for action for those who have ideas, creative ideas, innovations, or have existing firms or existing applications of existing ideas that can help the industry. At that time, it was during the pandemic back last year, maybe September, October last year, and I received many calls telling me, Adly, look, what you are introducing or what you are trying to do looks very interesting and creative, but guess what? You won't find 3-4 companies or firms or startup working in this small area, which is technology and cinema. The good news is that we received in less than 10 days, we received more than 150 applications. And we did our homework very well. We filtered them. We had them one-to-one interviews, and we had the capacity building for them, and so on and so forth. We selected 10 out of this 150, and we had a pitching event during the Guna Film Festival as part of the official edition last year. And we had a prominent panel consisting of engineer Naguib Sawiris, superstar Shireen Rida, Nadim Farah, Gemini Africa, and myself. And we selected 3 out of those 10 as winners. From this point, we discovered there is a new track, untapped one. No one has thought, I would say, not only in Egypt or in the region, but worldwide, to mingle, to marry between the entrepreneurs and the cinema. And we received some comments like, we are thankful not for giving us this opportunity only, but for saving 7, 8, 10 years from our career to be able to connect with the industry gurus. That was a bit kind of a dream. From this point, we decided to take it to the next level, and we worked in 3 dimensions. First dimension, legal dimension, and we are so proud and so humble to announce and to share with you some good news that we received 2 patents or 2 IPs, intellectual properties, as the first ever company, an Egyptian company, having or creating or introducing a new track within the entrepreneurial scene, which is CinemaTech. I'm sure that all of you knows that for financial solutions, applications, and creative startups, we call them fintech. We have edtech, we have proptech, we have agritech, and now we are so proud to introduce CinemaTech. CinemaTech is the startups or ideas that use technology for the development of the film space. Not only filming and production and music as well, kind of an entertainment, but we call it CinemaTech since this is our main focus. And we had a second patent or second IP intellectual property for launching the first ever pitching event worldwide, entrepreneurial pitching event in a film festival, which happened last year in GFF. And from this point, we are trying to make sure that what we have introduced is not only theoretical, but we are trying to open channels and open opportunities and uncover opportunities for our youth, our startups, our creative portfolio working with us. This is in a nutshell where CinemaTech came from, and thank you very much.
Okay, let's, can I open it up? Thank you very much, Mr. Thoma. Can we open it up for questions from our audience, from our viewers? Well, off the bat, can I ask you, I know I have film students here, I see their names. How would they be able to, or how can they get involved with the CinemaTech as either a practitioner or someone who was more on the industrial marketing side? How would they get involved? Would they wait for one of the events that I know that Farah Abdelkader is going to be talking about some of the, the activities and so on, the partnerships. But I know some of my students would be interested in both sides of the CinemaTech, both as as I said, as practitioner or more on the entrepreneurial side.
I can leave it to Farah, or I can say as you like, Dr. Tania.
It's Farah. Do you want to answer that, or?
Maybe we can share the answer together. As a practice, I would want you to sorry, just repeat the question, because from, do you mean reaching out to us as a company?
Well, no, I mean they're young practitioners. I mean they are some of them are filmmakers, some of them are more will probably be producers. How would they have to, or would they get involved with, for example, the Guna Film Festival? Would they get, or the Aswan Film Festival? How do they approach? How can they be involved? Maybe they don't necessarily get accepted into the festival, their work or something, but maybe they have ideas, okay. Because they are living in this world where they are struggling, and Egypt's not easy, but they are, struggling filmmakers.
Okay, thank you, Tania. To partake in CinemaTech is you need to learn a little bit about it. This is why we're here. And if they do have an idea, they can first of all join one of our workshops that we're trying to make everywhere that we're going. Whether we started off in Aswan, we had a hackathon earlier this year. I think it was 2 months ago. So we're making all these calls for them to join us, and if neither or either of these programs they can join, they can just, if they have a solid idea with a solid business plan, they can just approach us. So as practitioners, they're the people that know what is missing in the film industry. As producers, I started off in production, and so we always faced a lot of problems in production, especially in Egypt. And just looking back at it right now, I can come up with a few different ideas that can make the filmmaking industry a bit easier. So they have to look at it from a practitioner, from a person that practices this point of view, and from an entrepreneurial point of view as well. So they have to look at it and then come up with an idea. What is the idea of what is missing, and they need to look for it and try to come up with something. So I know in production, we're usually, we were talking once, Mr. Adly, I think we were talking once about how schedules are still made with a the call sheets are still made in a very basic way with Excel sheets, and they get sent to WhatsApps. And that's the most advanced thing that they've done here in Egypt. And maybe we can come up with something that makes this automatically easier for the calls. So it's just what you think. Think of something and find what is missing and try to come up with something and then come forward with it. Because this is how things work, basically.
Okay, and this is the perfect, I mean, this sounds like a really good venue for that. I mean, it's a hub where they can approach and get involved. Do we have any, thank you very much, Farah. Do we have any questions from anyone? Okay, should we move on? Farah, I'll give you a brief introduction. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Farah Abdelkader is going to talk about, again, we've sort of covered that, but the activities of the CinemaTech and some of the partnerships that it's making with the film industry. So that's perfect. That's a perfect segue. So Ms. Abdelkader is a cinephile, which means lover of cinema, who started off her career as an assistant producer working at Lighthouse Productions with a focus on advertising. She's worked at Mad Solutions as a celebrity publicist and a marketer in the filmmaking industry. Farah Abdelkader has worked in Egypt's major festivals, including the Al Gouna Festival, the 4th edition, and she worked on something called the Gouna Bridge, which I think you might tell us about. She's also worked with the Cairo International Film Festival, probably right now, I think it's the leading film festival, unless the Gouna, they're both the major film festivals in Egypt. And she worked as an event manager for the Cairo International Film Festival. She then joined Gemini Africa, where she sees the opportunity to positively impact the filmmaking industry by, quote, bridging the gap between the filmmaking and the entrepreneurship industries. Okay, so thank you, Farah. Take it away.
Tania, for this. So you wanted to know about Gouna Bridge. It's part of the Gouna platform, where they, in the bridge is the part where they do the workshops and the talks, the master classes. I think as students, they need to look and attend as much as they can of these kind of festivals and these kind of workshops, because then they know what is missing, what they can add. If they need to have an edge to whatever they're doing, whether they're filmmaking or to if I'm going to bring it back to CinemaTech, they need to have an edge. They need to, yes, on ground they learn a lot more, but then they'll have an edge to what is it that is lacking again. And you said about our partnerships and activities. I think we can take us there. I think Ms. Adi already talked about Gouna Film Festival. We are seeing opportunities. Yes, Cairo International Film Festival is one, is leading, or it is the oldest festival in Egypt and one of the oldest in the Middle East. If I'm not mistaken, it is the oldest in the Middle East. If Haitham knows anything, he can correct me. And it did step up its game when Gouna was introduced. Yet those other festivals that we're partnering with or we are tackling, we saw their importance because they're decentralizing the cinema industry and the film industry. So we're not only focusing on Cairo, we're not only focusing where the industry is happening. No, we want to expand more. This is why we thought of Luxor, into Luxor African Film Festival, which tackles the African region. And this is where we also, right now we're doing is that we're tackling Aswan International Women Film Festival. It's both an Aswan film and it has a focus on women's films. And so we also saw an opportunity there because we want to talk to more people, to let more people know. So we can bridge the gap, the smallest gap between Aswan, Luxor, and Cairo, where the industry is. We also made, we had a hackathon. I don't know if I already said that or not. We had a cinema hackathon. Earlier this year, it was in partnership with UNDP. It was in partnership with the Ministry of, Adly, you can help me here. The Ministry of Planning.
Ministry of Planning. Yeah, Ministry of Planning and Economic Development.
And the, I don't know the Mahad al-Qawmi, how come I don't know what it is.
The National Institute for Governance, Sustainable Development and Governance.
And FEPS, which is...
And what was the last one?
It's the business incubator in, right? Am I right? It's the
Cairo University. Yeah.
It's the Cairo University.
Political science school.
And the UNDP, which is easy to see. And so all these people came together to run this marathon because they do believe in the importance of entertainment as a whole, and technology and injecting technology, because all industries are addressing technology and are going to technology to find solutions. This is why we're tackling technology in the cinema industry to find solutions to make this industry a bit advanced as much as we can. I've been talking way too much.
Can you allow me for one comment here, or I can add one sentence here? We have a vision. We position ourselves like a bridge between the prominent creative startups and advanced prominent creators like Haitham. We have Haitham with us, and he's really a treasure for us and for the whole industry. But as well, we have to think throughout the whole pyramid. We can have the superstars, we can have the production, we have creative people like Haitham, but we have applicants, and we have students, and we have some startups. But the lower layer of the pyramid is our new generation. Our new generation, sometimes, as we are asked, Tania, they want to have their say, they want to add their say, they want to be engaged, they have some ideas. So we are trying to help them as well. How can we help them? By organizing such hackathon, as Farah was mentioning. Hackathon, in the hackathon, we are trying to challenge them with some problems that we believe the cinema industry is facing. So we are telling them, here is the problem, here is the introduction about the problem, what is CinemaTech, and from your perspective, from your experiences, they have some experience in cinema. Tell us, how can you see the next step? How can you suggest the solutions using the technology within the experience you have? So it's our role as well is to approach and reach out to the youth, to the new generation, to students, as we are doing with you today, to try to get the maximum out of them, or to give them the chance or the result to be part of the CinemaTech concept at least.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Can you, Farah, give me an example of a hackathon, the subject or the topic, the main topic, where you would then have the hackathon?
So with this last hackathon, we had 5 challenges that we presented the participants with. it did not have a main theme. It was just it's just the 5 challenges. The first one was about this disability, and how people with hard hearing, how can we can find a solution for them to be able to watch movies, because they are quite a representation in the population. They're about 4%, which is a big number. For them not to be enjoying films, for us not to be tackling such a community. And if we look at it from an economical point of view, a 4% is big. So we need to also tackle it. But from the humanitarian side, also we need to have that. So that for the first challenge, we looked at it, is that how you can help them. And actually the winners for this hackathon were the ones that came up with an idea how to integrate listening in filmmaking, in viewing of films. Another challenge, Haitham, if you do remember the challenges with me, you can say them.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of them?
الورق, the challenge of الورق. Haitham can talk about الورق.
Yeah.
Okay.
Haitham can talk about the script writing one.
Okay.
Yeah, I can jump in. Hi, and I'll introduce myself properly later. But I think, as Mr. Adly was saying, this hackathon was a great idea to find the new problem solvers, if you will, from a digital perspective. So if the industry has these gaps and we're trying to find people with brilliant ideas to invest in, and one of them, Farah mentioned, the one about the hearing disabilities or differently abled people in terms of hearing, and how to help them actually have more experience out of the film. So we all have the subtitles, but they also need to understand the music sentiment and what's happening with the sound effects and all this kind of stuff. Another idea was about digitizing scripts, if you will. Until now people write on Words or on Google Docs, and then we print out the script and we go to the location and just like shoot off the paper script. And how actually we can digitize this in a way that we can also get all the basic elements for the production sheets, right? So I know exactly how many sets do I need, how many locations, how many people are involved, what's the investment needed from the script stage, which is a very, very needed solution, if you will, in the market today. We had another solution using VR to simulate the location before you shoot. So if you are an art director or a set director and you want actually to see how your location will look like in terms of adding specific decorations, specific colors, and you want to collaborate with your DOP, your director, your actor, and imagine or simulate how the location would be if you have specific choices, you can do that before buying them, which is a great one. Another one would be actually having have like an inventory of art direction items like clothes, like decorations, like furniture from specific suppliers, but also from the people, and then have this readily available for anyone who wants to invest. So these were the ideas proposed, and then we had sessions with them. We consulted on how to make that a successful business and what the market really needs. And I think all of them were brilliant. And I think we're working with a couple of them actually to actualize soon.
Okay. Thank you very much, Haitham. Can we, would you, I think unless there are questions, we will actually hear Haitham talk about, he's the success story so far of the CinemaTech, right? So let me go ahead and introduce you.
Sure.
So you're a big tech veteran, digital media guru, advertising and marketing expert with strong people management skills. Haitham Khalil is well versed in business strategy, design, market planning, and macro thought leadership. He's passionate about digital content and focused on disrupting and digitizing local media industries in the Middle East and beyond. You'll have to tell us a little more about that. He's the co-founder of Bingbong Studios, and he used to be the Global Business Group Middle East Emerging Markets Manager at Facebook, and the Emerging Markets Manager at Google, and also YouTube as well, the online partnership program in the Middle East. I'm sorry, is it you were also the Emerging Markets Manager for YouTube in the Middle East for MENA?
Yeah, partnership manager. Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, so tell us what you bring to CinemaTech. You are the success story and the poster child for what they are looking for. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for having me. I'm very glad to speak a little bit about this because it's kind of a passion project, if you will. And the idea was, my background is all tech, so I've been like managing a couple of teams in Google and Facebook over the years. Also, I was in charge of the YouTube partnership program in the region, which is basically how to enable content creators to create money out of YouTube. Okay, so it was like having this kind of bridge between brands and content creators digitally. And I'm coming from the film world too. I'm a kind of a filmmaker myself. I studied filmmaking for a couple of years. I had my couple of indie films. I've done the rounds around festivals and stuff. So I know a little bit about the creative industry in terms of the creative perspective, but also got into the business world. And this is why 2-3 years ago, I decided to invest in this new entity called Bingbong Studios. And the idea is entirely focused on the creative side of the business and how to link them to the business world of media industry. The idea was, that an essential part of the creative process is script writing, right? The idea of having a script ready, and script is, I would say, 30% talent, 70% a lot of craft, right? There are a lot of basics, especially if you're writing for commercial industry. There's a lot of craft involved, and there's a lot of logistics involved, especially like creating these kind of like workshops, having these kind of like head writers, senior writers, junior writer dynamic that will help you actually create a commercially viable product. But also writing scripts is also an execution plan, right? You give a producer or a director or filmmaker a script, and they're expected to turn that into a reality, right? Or to shoot it on the ground. So the idea is also like it had a lot of production influence too in the script writing. And I partnered with two of my close friends and colleagues. They are like head writers for a couple of like very successful TV shows in Egypt. They had a film produced. They had SNL Arabia, if you will. If you're familiar with that, it was a franchise of the SNL program in the US here in Egypt. We were actually more or less managing the workshop, writing the sketches and having the daily live show running. And we gathered this kind of like big experience about how to run these kind of workshops and also foster these talents and grasp these talents. One thing that we noticed in this process is that there's a lot of talent out there on the internet space of people who have great idea, people who have zero skills, zero training in how to write for commercial production or how to work in commercial space for that matter. So the idea came up that, okay, what about if we actually have an entity that focuses on that, on training script writers, having a platform to attract them, having our projects that are running now being supported by workshops run by grassroots talents in Egypt and beyond. We've been doing that for 2 years. We spent the first 2 years onboarding a business. And as you know, the first 2-3 years is actually all like trial and error, seeing what the market needs, understanding how to modify and work around the business plan, how to be flexible. The industry itself changed a lot over the last 2 years, and you're familiar with what's happening in but the biggest disruption in the industry was really the introduction of the digital platforms. So Netflix came to the region, Shahid came to the region, Amazon Prime came to the region, and the whole rules of the game has changed drastically. The idea is, before you would go to a producer, they would sit in their office and think, oh, this is a great idea. I think it would be commercially profitable. I'm going to take a risk in this. Now we are really in the age of data, and we can see that in Egypt. Now you have the briefs coming from these platforms saying, okay, I need to do this kind of genre. I think I should focus on that. I should focus on this. So the digitization is happening from the perspective of the platforms, where the distribution, if you will, but it's not coping up with the production itself and the writing itself. And so the idea that we're working on now is trying to bridge that gap, understanding what the platforms would need, what the new production rules are, and then bridge that to the creative ideas that we're trying to grasp, grassroots, if you will. Why we joined CinemaTech is because we already had a couple of big projects going on. So we're writing a project for Amazon Prime, like the first show here in Egypt. We're already doing a couple of films. We're doing a couple of TV series. When I sat down with Mr. Adly and Farah, we discussed the whole ecosystem. And we thought that, okay, we can keep doing that in a way that's actually compliant to whatever is happening in the market and just be reactive to the change that is happening, or we can drive it. And that's what really impressed me about this program. And I think Mr. Adly and Gemini and the rest of the team, they have a very brave, audacious vision about disrupting the whole market. So it's like, okay, we're introduced digitized solutions. We're identify the problems in the market. We're trying to bridge the gap between people who don't have access, but they have talents and ideas and maybe ready-made projects, and the money and the brands and the industry and the distribution. And I liked it a lot because it will use the technology and the digital.
Whoops. Okay.
We lost Haitham.
I'm afraid, yeah. That's. I hope he comes right back. Sorry, Haitham.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got disconnected.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm almost done. I think what's exciting for me is the whole picture of the whole ecosystem. I think now if we have the digital platforms as buyers, if you will, supported by the brands and the money of the advertisers, wherever, and you have the platforms that are actually free for all, like YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, and you have the creatives on the other side, and you have the link, which is now represented by the agencies and the production companies. I think digital solutions can bridge the gap, and I think our company is just one of them. What we're focused on now is to create these kind of virtual workshops supported by physical on-the-ground workshops of writing. We will go to Aswan, hopefully, to Luxor, to other festivals. Hopefully we'll go to other festivals around the Arab world, trying to create this awareness about this platform. We're going to train you on how to write a script. We're going to use your scripts actually for commercial use. We're going to pay you for them. But later on, you can submit your ideas through a platform that's actually supported by machine learning, that's going to actually tell you exactly what kind of briefs we're looking for. It's going to actually revolutionize a little bit the idea of what we need as a market versus people pitching their ideas, but also people submitting and then being selected whenever the time is right. I think it's an inspiration. There's actually a very famous website called The Blacklist. I don't know if you heard of it in the US. It's like the guys who actually got all the scripts that were never actually produced in the big studios, and they listed them on the website, and producer would go and pick whatever is needed for them. I think we're looking to create this kind of indexed, copyrighted inventory of ideas, scripts, very good crafted, very well crafted, if you will, and supported by senior writers, head writers, turn them into something that actually can be sold in the market and also monetized for these people to get into the industry. And imagine if you are in Asyut or Aswan or Riyadh or Morocco, Casablanca, and you don't have access to this kind of like big production middlemen, if you will, and then you will have this technology to help you bridge that. That's on the Bingbong side. On the CinemaTech side, I'm very excited to be working with them also on a couple of other projects that will actually complete the ecosystem and increase the pie for all of us to have better access and do better business, and eventually have better content coming out from the region.
Okay, Thank you very much. Okay, well, let's again. I'd like to hear from somebody. You know, one of the people in the audience. Mary, or yeah, can you see if there are hands raised? I don't have the gallery.
Yes,
Oh,
we have Nelly's hands up.
Okay, very good.
Can we unmute Nelly, please?
Okay.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Tania. I'm sorry for the background noise. I'm just on the run. So I work in the Department of Management in the School of Business, and I've been teaching entrepreneurship for some years now and working with entrepreneurs at the AUC Venture Lab and all across Egypt, including in Upper Egypt with women in microfinance and with refugees. And I think what Adly is doing is great, because if we think about the creative industries in general, and I mean creative industries in terms of CinemaTech, but also art, dance, music, anything like that. Really, you know, when I teach entrepreneurship, and historically, artists in all their forms are really the quintessential entrepreneurs, because what they do is they have idea and they hopefully take it to market. So, you know, examples, you know, if you think about, for example, Damien Hirst, if you think, for example, of Simon Cowell, if you think of who recently died, Michael Gudinski, who made Ed Sheeran's career, you know, these are all people that have a business mind and entrepreneurial mind that think about how to take this creative idea to market, you know, how to generate some kind of money from it. You know, artists, some famous artists, some Eastern European artists were asked once on the BBC, how are you valuing your art as, I don't know, X 100,000 million, I don't know, however much it was. And they said, it's something that somebody wants and somebody will buy it. So if you think about it in that sense, art, anything around art is really the root of entrepreneurship. But obviously now with the drive of technology and, you know, now we're seeing applications that we haven't seen before. You know, a very typical example, health tech, mental health tech as well, ed tech. We never used to see these based around technology before. This was something that happened between a doctor and a patient, between a student and a teacher. Look, for example, at Visita, how they've expanded hugely because of the application. Also, of course, credit to the, you know, pandemic as well. So I think it's really important, especially for students in the creative fields, to think about, you know, how is this going to appeal to an audience or to the masses? You know, this isn't just a great idea that I have, you know, how am I going to make money from it, really? And I suppose something that Adly and I think Farah touched upon, which is we're seeing more and more in Egypt, is topics that weren't discussed before in the media. You know, things like harassment, you know, sexuality, the role of women, society, government, politics, all these sorts of things. So, you know, this generation as well, they're coming up with vogue ideas that really can, you know, influence the industry hugely. And I'm not talking just about in Egypt, also in the MENA region and internationally. And I think just as a final thing, and Farah mentioned this, and I think it's great how you go into Luxor and Aswan and you're connecting it with Cairo. Look, we know that the city is very disconnected from the governorate. So when I was working in Upper Egypt around microfinance, which was part of the Suez Foundation actually, big disconnect, and it's all well and good putting money into the governorates, but if you're not putting training, if you're not putting sustainable training, you know, an actual business plan and help, then you're not going to have any form of sustainability. So I think it's a really great vision that Adly has and that Farah mentioned about connecting cities to governorates. So, you know, I hope that, you know, and I've known Adly for some time, actually. He's everywhere. And he was helping the students at AUC. And really, I didn't know Adly in the scope of who he was, because he was giving his time to students. And I was thinking when I think it was one of the first times I met him, I thought, who is this person, you know, that's spending all this time with students? And he turned out to be Adly. And I was, you know, wow, this is amazing. And then I actually also worked with Adly. Me and a colleague, we designed and delivered a workshop to refugees and internally displaced people about how to get their ideas into market. And Adly also supported us with that. So, you know, I think getting the word out and getting students to think about, not just students, everyone, to think about that entrepreneurship isn't a business. It isn't somehow, I also think, just a startup. It's about getting a creative industry to market, getting somebody to buy in. You know, look at J.K. Rowling, you know, look at her story, look at Kate Winslet, look at Sylvester Stallone, look at all of these people, you know, that were hidden, really. And I think it's about getting somebody to believe in your creative idea and being boundaryless about that, you know, like anything kind of goes. And then obviously having support networks like Gemini and like people like Tania and Haitham and supporting people with that. So I'm really pleased personally to see this kind of combination of CinemaTech and entrepreneurship and technology and yeah, and I hope it expands more and more, because Egypt historically was the hub of creativity, you know, with the black and white movies, with dancing, with folklore, with radio. You know, my auntie used to head Radio Cairo when I grew up in the kind of the studios, and yeah, and I think we've seen a decline in that, unfortunately, and I hope that that we see a big revival in all of these creative industries. So yeah, thank you for your talk, Tania, Adly, you know, Farah, Haitham, and all of the students. I hope that you're you know, inspired, I suppose, by this.
Thank you, Nelly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I'm also, you know, one of the things I tell my students is that I think it's really important that Arabs have their own voices, that the content of the visual media isn't always dictated from outside. I think people have said, we've heard the Netflix and we've heard Amazon and I don't know what, Amazon Prime and all these. And I really think it's important that this might be, this platform might be a way of fostering some of the Arab voices, because if you have to take control of the narrative, otherwise we've all seen what happens, right? We've lost that. We've lost the narrative. It's absolutely dominated by North America right now. So that would be my input.
Yeah, and I, if I may jump on that, I think it's dominated also by Silicon Valley in America, not even like, so you have like this kind of like a very, how to say, standardized way of looking at the content. And I think it's our duty in these countries and in our country specifically to make sure also the data are taken into consideration, but also the unique, genuine voices are also heard. So can't agree more. And I just want to add something to what was said earlier about the microfinancing, that I think also it's really worth discussing and thinking about how to microfinance whatever we think is potential. And I'm not talking about grants. I'm not talking about like grants coming from specific cultural or political or whatever agenda, but more of a pure business microfinancing coming from the idea that there are very viable ideas that can really sell. And like any other industry in the country, people always follow the trend. So you need the one who's breaking the trend, give it a push, make sure it's successful, and then everyone is going to follow. So I think there's a financial argument to this too that we need to think about.
Okay. Let's see. Do we have any more? Do we have any more questions from our viewers? My students are very quiet. I don't know what's happening. They're very quiet.
I was just gonna ask you, Tania. I mean, we want to make sure that people understand, coming back from the background of the film industry and so on, that they understand the concepts of entrepreneurship and the terms that we've been using throughout the webinar. So can you guys like tell us if there are any terms or things that we've mentioned that does not make sense to you, or so on, because it's very important that you understand like the highlights of CinemaTech, because it does really open a whole realm of opportunities. And it's kind of, you know, it's new, and it's common that you don't really get everything, especially that we're using some of the business terms here. So please do ask us questions, even if you think that we've been over the topics. So is everyone like clear on entrepreneurship, pitching events, what's happening, and what like this is bringing into the industry or not? And we can just get even the questions on the chat, if you may.
I think we can help them a little bit. I think they're super quiet. Maybe we can ask them like, how do they think that with all that has been said, what's the impact that they can see from CinemaTech that it can have over the film industry? Maybe that's something that they can look into and answer.
Okay, students.
But I also want to thank Nelly for what she
we
said.
have Rawan has her hand up.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. All right. Here we go. Hi, Rawan.
Hi, Doctor.
Nice to hear your voice. Okay, Rawan, tell us what's your question or what comment?
I wanted to say that to answer Farah's question, that I find it very interesting that we're looking for the gaps in the industry and we're trying to fill that in. And I really love the idea about the call sheet that you mentioned. I think that's going to be super helpful. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, but it was a lot of information. It was really nice, so we're just taking it in.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rawan.
I can tell you that you don't like technology in cinema. It has been there for a lot of time, but from right now we're looking to it in a different perspective. Cinema is depending on technology from the beginning of it until now, whether it be how movies were projected, and the creation of movies, quote unquote, because it was from the projection on this machine and how fast they were, and there's the illusion of a moving picture. And we can go to the technology of double exposure and creating what we can call now CGI, the technology for CGI, green screens, sound with movies, the lightweight equipment. All of these things are I might can say we're taking them for granted because we saw them. We were here when they were here, and we did not face all the heavy duty of how to deal with the cinema back in the days. So right now we have this kind of cinema that we have, but we need to develop it more if we can. So it's not just, it might be the small things and we develop on them. We were talking about how you can also combine already existing technologies and combining them together, and then you'd have a whole new ball game. It's just, you need to learn more about it. You need to think of solutions, think of the problems, and it's easy to come up with things. It's not easy, but it's just, it opens up your brain. Like I bet you how Haitham came up with his ideas is that he saw a gap. It's because he looked into where the gap is. He started thinking, how can I do that? So rather than just waiting for something, he went in and he looked for that gap and created something for it.
I think we have two questions. We have from Ali.
Ali,
yeah.
Okay. Hello,
yes.
Ali.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
So my question is, if there was a potential filmmaker or a practitioner with an idea, and you worked on him on this idea with him, and you made it like you gave it a solid plan. Then you connected him with the entrepreneur. Is it job done there for like CinemaTech, or do you keep working throughout for the project's execution itself?
I think the practitioner becomes the entrepreneur at this point, because we do not connect them.
Okay, maybe
if you
I
come up
got
with
that
the
mixed
idea.
up.
Oh yeah. It's good that you ask, so that you know you become the entrepreneur at that point.
So like what does CinemaTech provide for that person in this moment? Like how do you help him, or how does it work? Like with Haitham, how does it work?
Can I jump in, Farah, if you don't mind? Okay, so Ali, okay, just to clear the confusion, I think CinemaTech as a program is investing in solutions, digital solutions and technological solutions like companies, platforms, applications, programs that will help filmmakers, okay? My company is one example of these companies that are part of the program. And what we do is actually, if you have a script, you submit it on a website that we're building now, and then we index it and we pitch it to different platforms and producers. So this was my idea and this is the company. But that doesn't mean that this is what CinemaTech does. CinemaTech has a lot of now several projects that they are working on to help filmmakers be more efficient and connect more and monetize more. So for example, we discussed this Wara idea. So instead of having final draft, final draft is like the platform you write script in. So it's not Arabic supported. And we're trying to make that a little bit more relevant to the market, connected to the producers and the call sheets and all this kind of stuff. Imagine a problem like having the location order. It's like the order, and then actually you receive notifications of the dates and the times and the schedules, and you connect with the crew. Maybe another fundraising platform, maybe a financing platform. So CinemaTech for me is for you as a filmmaker, not as a practitioner. If you have an idea that will solve a problem in the industry, come to us and let's discuss if that can be a business. And this is what CinemaTech does. Within CinemaTech, you'll find a lot of solutions that might help you actually to make your production come to life.
Okay, thank you.
Let me comment. Thank you, Ali.
Yeah, okay. All right, Salma?
Yes, hello. I just want to know if there are any requirements for submitting our thoughts and the projects to CinemaTech.
Thank you, Salma, for asking this question. No restrictions at all. We are happy always and glad to receive ideas, to receive comments, and actually we are trying to reach out, as I mentioned, to many stakeholders and many believers in what we are doing. And let me elaborate here about what we can offer. What we can offer is let's try to present it as what we call 3 M's. We can offer money or investment. We can offer matchmaking, which is creating opportunities and business opportunities for our portfolio. And the 3rd M is mentorship. We can offer coaching, capacity building, trainings, and all sorts of support. So in a nutshell, we can help in getting investment. We can help in offering business opportunities and having coaching and mentorship and training. Having said that, it's very important to highlight that our idea is based on the use of the technology. So some technology that we do have as part of our portfolio, as Haitham mentioned, the script writing software, but as well we have the digital studios is another creative youth that have or that implemented already the digital studios. Digital studios is what Disney used in producing Star Wars Mandalorian, is to have everything pre-production, nothing is post-production through a complete digital studios. We have platforms for casting, we have platform for music, we have stop animation techniques, we have lenses techniques. So we have different aspects of the use of the technology. Of course, the VR, the fourth revolution, fourth industrial revolution, the VR, virtual reality, the AR, augmented reality. So we have multiple, I say, tools, but as well, we decided to take it to the next step and to invest in, as Hala, Dr. Hala Barakat was mentioning, we need to have some Arabic-friendly software. Most of the existing software are tailored for English language. So we are in the process of trying to work on designing and launching some software that can help the Arabic script writer, for example. So whatever idea you have, it's always be welcome. And as Tania was asking, you can be part of our different programs throughout the year. We have at least 6-7 programs throughout the years, but as well, we are open to hear and to listen through our website, through our Facebook page, through our different social media handles. Please feel free to send us if you want to share with us any special ideas. We are here now, and we can have this special dedicated session for those who have idea want to share with us. The message is we cannot do it ourselves. It can be done through the contribution of each and everyone in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, in the film industry, and of course the academia and the students and the bright minds like you.
Tania, you're muted.
Yeah, I know. Can we have a question from Nada El Hadi? She wants to, she says, can you advise us on how to approach building a portfolio for our ideas before sending them in? Farah, you want to?
Okay. Yeah.
You can go ahead.
We have to approach Nada. Either to work on your idea and have an ideation, have a canvas and business plan, and all the entrepreneurial process, as Dr. Nelly was mentioning. So we have a professional way how to approach the startups. So if you have this knowledge and this know-how, you can apply to your idea and sending to us. If you don't have yet this know-how, but you have a creative idea and want to share with us, we can offer you support and help to materialize or to convert the idea into a real business plan. The beauty of what we are doing is that we are trying to mix between business, entrepreneurship, and film industry and production. It's not about just using technology or just throwing ideas, but our aim is to have success stories and to have on-ground real portfolio and real lessons learned that we can share with the industry. So let me give you an example. Once we selected 3 winners in last edition Film Festival, we decided to dedicate or to have a special workshop for those 3 in the Cineguna platform with the top key players in the industry. We had with us the top producers in the industry. We had the president of many film festivals in Egypt, and we have technology companies as well, top technologies companies. So our aim was to make sure that the ideas, the winning ideas, are sponsored and are injected within the industry. Again, we are so proud and happy and thrilled to be the only Egyptian company that has two IPs. But we believe that we will not leave an impact unless this IP is converted into real projects on ground. So in a nutshell, if you can work on your idea with your professors in the university, go ahead and work on it, and then send it to us if I can help to support you. We have some as well creative means and tools to help you. We have kind of interactive tool to help you to convert your idea into a business plan.
We have a question from Habiba Abu Zaid.
Okay.
Yes, hi everyone. I have a question regarding what ideas would you be against, or you wouldn't approve of working on, if there is any?
As opposed to what ideas they're looking for?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess like if because it's an Egyptian company, so would you consider like ethical ideas that are not accepted by Egyptian society or anything of that sort, or would you be willing to accept any sort of ideas, like no censorship whatsoever?
I don't think we have faced this until now, because when it comes to we're not really sure what you're referring to, because what kind of technology that would oppose to the ethical grounds for Egypt? If you have an idea, we can talk about it, but I think we're open to all ideas, but we've never faced something that has to do with the ethical grounds again in Egypt.
I think the question is coming from it's well grounded in the fact that it's very, very censorship is a major issue here in any in filmmaking in general.
Yeah.
So I understand where she's coming from.
We can't. I don't think we can oppose the regulations here in Egypt. We can't. But I'll tell you something. One of the things that one of our startups did is that, because you know how it's super hard to register your scripts, and for them, because there are sorts for censorship, there are regulations for censorship. So one of our startups, what they did is that you can protect your script or your idea. You just upload them, and I'm sorry. You can upload them on their platform, and it gets stamped from the ministry. I can't, Mr. Adly.
Okay, so in other words, yeah. This is a way to protect your intellectual property. It would be, which is fantastic, because that's such an issue here. Like having your ideas taken, and the next thing you know, they're being used by somebody else. So that's wonderful. Farah, when you can talk again, do you just want to tell it?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. Do you want to just finish out? Are you okay?
Yeah. I was just joking. It's just, again, it was so you can, when you upload it, it's stamped with the Ministry of Telecom, and then you can if there's any legal problems, you can go to the court, because it's authenticated. This is one way, I think, looping around censorship in Egypt, because you would want to give your script away, or but it still doesn't register it the same way you have to in the censorship, in the building of the censorship, Raqaba.
Yeah.
And actually, it is using technology as well. It's called timestamp technology. It's a new technology, how to censorship the new ideas and the scripts.
And blockchain as well.
Blockchain as well.
But it's more about, isn't it? My understanding is it's about copywriting your work, right? That's fantastic. Yes. Okay.
We have a question from Ahmed Khalid as well.
Okay, Ahmed.
Can you mute Ahmed, please? Yeah, go ahead.
Ahmed?
Oh, this is me. Sorry. Oh my gosh. So I think there's like a mistake. It's supposed to be Osama. I'm sorry. I was gonna ask like about the same point about after like people submitted the script, is there like any kind of like review or revision before you handle it to the producer? Like, do you have any kind of specific things you should or you want like on script?
Okay, for the operation side, I would like Mary Adib, she's our operation manager, to jump in and answer.
Okay, Ahmed, so let me get what you're asking like clearly. So you have like a script and you want someone to help you with the script, like get it into production, or what do you exactly want to do?
I mean, like, do you have like any standards for like the script? So do you have like any evaluation for the script that you receive before like you handle it to the producer? Do you have like any specific things?
Okay, so when you're talking here about script, is it like a script that you have written for a movie or something like this? Because this is a bit different from what we're talking about here. If it's just an idea that would support the performing arts or cinema industry or filmmaking or whatever it is, there are no constraints. You can just approach us. We have a form here for you guys to just register, and we will get in touch with you. Okay, so that's one way, and we will take it from there, definitely. But if you're talking about the script that for a movie or something, that's a different thing. So just explain to me which one.
Yeah, exactly. I meant like the treatment, not the script, like the treatment of the idea or something. I'm sorry, I was like
I think in case of a treatment or a script, you can approach Haitham, and he has the infrastructure, and at the same time we are working together in some kind of a friendly software. I'm not disseminating any confidential information. I leave it to him.
Yeah. So thank you, Osama / Ahmed. Yeah, I think this is exactly what we're trying to build here. We're trying to build a way for whoever has an idea to submit it, copyright it, and make sure it's connected to the right producers or the right distribution channels. So now, as we speak, anything that we receive at Bingbong, which is part of the portfolio of CinemaTech, we just read it, we qualify it internally, and then we see if we want to work on it further, create a pitch for it, give it to the producers, send it to our partners, and then see if we're going to move forward with that. Later on, it's going to be more themed, which means that we're going to submit some calls or briefs, if you will, of specific ideas that we want in very specific categories based on the briefs that we get. And then we receive the ideas from your side. So it's going to be a little bit more contained, if you will. But again, Bingbong as part of the portfolio, what Farah, the timestamp technology Farah and Mr. Adly talked about, other solutions like the final draft and the editor and all this stuff, they're going to be all tools for you to submit your script to a producer and get it monetized at some point. So stay tuned and keep following our updates, and you'll find these solutions coming your way very soon.
Yeah,
let me ask you, Haitham, on behalf of Ahmed or Osama, if they have an idea of script or treatment, can they send it to you?
Yeah, please go to bingbongstudios.com and you'll find the email where you can send me anything you have. And you're more than welcome to send us treatments, synopses, presentations in all genre and all categories, and we'll get back to you if there's an interest from any of our partners.
Thank you.
This is after they go to the iProtect.
Yeah, exactly. This is why I'm saying don't send full scripts. Send us synopses, treatments, log lines, stuff that you think might actually be of interest. And there is actually a new update in the legal system in Egypt, by the way, is that whatever is documented in the email, the timestamp is also considered copyrighted. So you're on the safe side here.
And the beauty of the CinemaTech, sorry, Mary, I'll leave it to you, but just one comment. The beauty of CinemaTech is the hub. Our portfolio contain Haitham and we are proudly having Haitham as part of our portfolio, but we have iProtect as well as a portfolio startup within our CinemaTech hub. And this is the beauty, that we are kind of connector, a hub, an enabler for each and everyone and all stakeholders within the industry, not only the film industry, but as well entrepreneurial industry and technological industry. And we need, in CinemaTech, we need, of course, cinematographer and students that studying the cinema and performing arts and creative industry, but as well we need the computer science, and as well we need business. The idea cannot be transformed into a real project on ground unless we have the industry expert, we have the IT guy, developer guy, and we have as well the business and entrepreneurial guy. So we merge all three or all the different team members into a team, and this team has to work in synergy and work together to transform the idea into a real outcome. Back to me.
Okay, I was just gonna say something along the same lines, that this is exactly what we wanted to reach at the end of this webinar, that through the portfolio or through the startups that we have within the under the umbrella of the CinemaTech, you can find solutions to your problems that you face as people in the filmmaking industry or in the performing arts in general, okay? And you can also offer ideas and solutions, offer ideas to things that you are facing, problems that you are facing, and we will be able to find people in the tech industry or people with like engineering background and so on who can solve these problems for you, okay? Or you can just come up with, okay, I have this problem, I know how to fix it, and we will connect you with people to help you how to fix it, okay? Do the tech stuff that can support you. So it's very, very important that you understand that this is exactly what CinemaTech is. It's a hub that connects people together. It's a network. When you join this network and you keep following this network, either you can bring in new ideas, you can find solutions for your problems, and you can, come up with things that are totally like change the filmmaking industry, even if it's a very, very small idea or invention. And adding it will just make everyone's life easier and production easier and so on and so forth. And then we can compete, with the international arena. So let me see if anyone else has any questions or that we've gone through everything. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that in the chat, we had sent a form for people to connect with us. Of course, our website is geminiafrica.com, and you can also reach us through that. So does anyone else have any questions or wants to go over anything of what we've been talking about? Tania, do you have any questions or anything that you would like us to go over?
No, I don't think so. I thought the ground was covered. Unless we have any things that were not addressed, I'd like to hear from someone. Okay, okay.
We can show them a video of the digital studio if you want.
Sorry?
I said we can show them the video of the digital studio so that they have an idea of what we do. We also have an idea, a video for the brick animation, if you want us to show that.
Is it up on the? Is it up on the Facebook? Facebook just came up as well. It's up to you. Or we can put it on
the. We can put it in the presentation.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't see any hands up.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you, everyone. Any final comments or any? Did you want to show the video? It's up to you.
Actually, it's a 2-minute video, so we can conclude with this video if you allow us.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Go ahead, Farah.
Okay. So this one.
Farah, can you explain, please?
Yes, sure. So these are the these are videos for the digital studio that's here in Egypt in Shabramont, and it's the technology. They've combined two technologies which is LED screens and gaming together, and they came up with this digital studio, which now you can build an entire environment preset before shooting, and so that you don't need to imagine anymore the environment that you're going to film in, and you don't need to post-production doesn't need to be so much harder. This makes post-production very easy. And yeah, they have different environments, and it makes it so much easier for the cinematographer, for the actors. It saves time, it saves money, and this is one also good example of CinemaTech, because the purpose is tackling technologies that do impact the industry by saving time, saving money.
Okay, I know that a lot of people, a lot of my students could certainly use that. Basically, is it a CGI studio? Is that green screen and CGI, or is it more than that?
There is a green screen part in the studio, because still action cannot be shot with the screens right behind it, because they might get damaged. So a hard action must be done on a green screen. This one is it is CGI, but it's pre-production as opposed to post-production.
We have a question from Yusuf Zaki.
Okay, how
yeah, I wanted to ask about how students could use that tool, because sometimes we're in desperate need for these specific tools, but we can't afford to buy the license for these specific programs. So how could it be easier for us to use them while we're still undergrads?
I want to ask, thank you, Yusuf. Thank you very much. I want to ask Yusuf and your colleagues, tell us more about the software that needed during your studies or to implement any idea. This would be a very beneficial talk to have together and try to implement. So you have two options. Either there is an existing application that can help you. It could be in English or in Arabic or not. And otherwise, we can work together in developing something that could be useful for you. If you're asking about the digital studios, I can let Farah, of course, answer, but in a nutshell, digital studio is not an application, it's an on-ground studio that is physically presented located in Shabramont in Egypt.
I'm wondering. I think Yusuf and Mahmoud, who's here as well, both wanted to do their short films in the streets of Cairo, which is almost impossible. So I'm wondering if this couldn't be a solution. If you could have you could have the streets of Cairo done in the studio in video, and then have the action. I mean, this is CGI more or less, but I'm wondering if that's possible here with this particular studio. If they could do, so they could have their scenes in the Cairo streets without actually being there. Is that a possibility? Because I know that this is a huge demand.
In retrospect, it could be done, but I would assume for budget-wise, for students, it would be
prohibitive.
But in retrospect, yes, it could be done. You can build Cairo, a Cairo environment inside of the studio. This could be easily done. But renting the studio is a bit expensive. So for students, it would be a bit expensive. But if Yusuf is asking about the other platforms, for example, iProtect has a specific rate for students, and I believe other platforms that we're going to be working on, they're going to have specific fees or rates for students. But for the digital studio, I think it's a bit expensive.
Yeah, I just wonder if I mean, if there was kind of an off day where they could maybe accept student student work and give them a discount. Because I know it's in high demand. 2 out of 3 of the films that were made needed that, so they ended up shooting at 3 a.m. I guess it wasn't totally realistic and wasn't easy at all. This would be wonderful if they could recreate some scenes of typical landscape, cityscape of Cairo, which is prohibitive. People are not, you don't pull cameras out, and you all know that better than I do. It's not possible.
Well, I think it's a good idea, definitely, and it can happen. But yeah, we don't want to commit on something that it's out of our hand. Actually, the whole budget is for the investors, it's not us. So it's not about Gemini in this case. Nevertheless, we can talk with them and see what would be the alternatives, and if they can have, or we can subsidize, or they can have some, or they can offer some reduced price for the students. So let us talk with them and see the possibility of offering something like this to your students.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Any last comments or any last questions?
Yes, Tania, if you would allow me, I believe what the students mentioned now and you mentioned as a challenge is a clear example of a challenge that need to be tackled. It's a good idea for a hackathon, actually. How can people film Cairo streets, which is now very difficult to implement? Is there any artificial intelligence technologies that can replicate the streets, the real people moving, coming up with affordable solutions to that challenge? Maybe I believe that's what CinemaTech is looking for, the challenges facing whatever students or entrepreneurs or people working on the cinema and film performing arts facing. And let's think about how can we solve the challenges for them, whether it is to reduce the costs of production or introducing new technology in the business, enhance the output of what we all see. I believe that's there are lots of actually challenges in that industry that we can work on lots of hackathons and competition to solicit some of the ideas from rising entrepreneurs, startups, and students. Just a final comment, yani, from what I've seen during the webinar, it has been a very engaging, though I'm a bit away from the cinema industry, but as innovation and creativity, I believe people working in performing arts and cinema are creative by nature. So they can be more innovative, and with support of CinemaTech is very, very much helpful, I believe, and very much needed in Egypt in that field. I'd like to thank you all for the lovely session.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.